This will probably hurt my business, but I gotta be what I gotta be. It's getting harder to make Roth conversions work, and it sucks, dude. Because I wrote a book on Roth conversions, a tax bomb in your retirement, and I just it's getting hard to make it work. I'm gonna be upfront with clients. Say, look, I don't see any benefit of it. In fact, there isn't any benefit. So let me give you an example here. Here's a single guy. So this guy's single. So a lot of times, if you're single, right there, they were like, ugh. And normally, what we do is you look at this. Pablo, you okay? You okay? You gotta stop eating those fur balls. And we say, here's his taxes. You can see it's 74 to 75. It goes from basically a 9% effective tax rate to a 16 to 17% effective tax rate because of RMD. So that's a pretty significant jump, an 80% jump in effective tax rate. And you're like, oh yeah, we should definitely do Roth conversions in which to level the tax man off. That's what the whole point about Roth conversions is, trying to level it off to avoid these things right here, or a widow's tax trap. In this case, there is no widow's tax trap because my man is married, but as a single, I should say. But still, this would be the equivalent of a widow's tax trap with RMDs. All right, but the problem here is from 60 to 65, he's going to be on Obamacare. And, this is something, the Obamacare dance. You got to do it. So Obamacare is the subsidies are through the roof, dude. They're through the roof. So you got to play the game where you have to have enough income to qualify for Obamacare. If you don't have enough income, they're going to put you on Medicaid, and we don't want that. But you don't want too much income where you lose the subsidies. All right, so this case, my man, I'm going to show you here. So what we want to do is we want to pull money from his IRA in which to put us on the Obamacare numbers, essentially get enough income to qualify for Obamacare, but not too much to lose the premiums. Now, he could live off his cash from 60 to 65. And initially he's thinking about doing that. I said, well, that's not going to, you got to have some income. And his only income he'll have is either from his cash or from his IRA. He has no Roth or anything like that. He needs about $50,000 a year to get by because he's got no debt. He has an older house. Just he's taking care of his parents. Just a nice guy, good all around American guy. Love people like this. And he's just squirreled a bunch of money away just by digging ditches, lifting his head up on occasion, digging the ditches, lifting his head up and saying, I'm good, man. Not spending much. He likes to go fishing. And every now and again, go golfing. That's it. Great guy. People like this are all over the United States, dude. But we need 50,000 a year. So initially he's going to live off his cash, but then he wouldn't be on Obamacare. He would be on Medicaid. We don't want that. So I said, look, man, let's take 24,000 a year from your portfolio, basically 2,000 a month. That gets us half of what you need. It will take the rest from your cash account. So 24,000 will come from his portfolio, and 25,000 will come from his cash account to get us what we need. He needs 49,760 when he factor a little bit of taxes. So basically half from his IRA pre-tax, half from his post-tax cash account. It works like a charm. If we go back to this right here, we're already leveling to the extent that we can to keep the Obamacare subsidies right here. Because before, if he's just living off his cash, this is zero. He is paying no tax. He's paying up to 20% in the future. But we don't want to level this off so much to lose those significant $600, $700, $800 a month in Obamacare premiums. That's stupid. So it's tough to make it work because for these years before he's on Medicare, Obamacare is a priority. A bird in the hand is always better than two in the bush. So we want to make sure we take advantage of that. So Roth conversions just doesn't make sense. Now you could say, well, why not just live off the cash and do Roth conversions? Well, how much are you going to do? I mean, 25,000 Roth conversions. What does that do? What good does that do? Instead, why don't you just live off the cash right here? Why live off your cash to do 25,000 Roth conversions? What's the point of that? Why not just live off half your cash and half your IRA and don't do any Roth conversions? You see what I'm saying? I get that. Every now and again I'll see comments, do the Roth conversions while you're living off your cash. Why? So that way you have less taxes in the future, but here you're only in a 15% effective tax rate, a 16, 17% effective tax rate anyway at RMD. What I would argue instead is maybe do Roth conversions here, but I'm going to show you something. Even that doesn't make sense. Let me show you what I'm talking about. 20 years from now, here's his 1040. All right. He's got 58,000 of Social Security. He's got 55,000 of RMD. So 58 plus 55 plus he's got a small pension. He had I can't remember. I think it's 8,400 plus the $24,000. Oops, hold on a second. So we got 58 plus 32 plus 55. There we go. So he's got $145,000 of income in 2043. 145. Is that right? You got showing 147. Oh, and he's got some tax exempt interest up here as well. So yeah, there you go. So he's got 160 over 100. I mean, look at that, man. He's got $160,000 of income, my friends, and his taxes are $22,000 on $160,000 of income. That's a 13.8% effective tax rate. And that's what, again, he hasn't done any Roth conversions. He hasn't done anything. You're like, well, if your effective tax rate is only 13%, I mean, does it make sense to do Roth? It doesn't make sense to do Roth conversions here, but does it make sense to do Roth conversions here if you're only in a 13.8% effective tax rate? I mean, $160,000 of income, you're still walking away with $138,000. I mean, again, that's 20 years from now. It's not today's dollars, but you get it. I'm like, Now, this says his effective tax rate is 17%. Why? Well, I'll show you. This is where Right Capital, I think, makes a mistake. Because Right Capital assumes your effective tax rate is your tax divided by your taxable income. So 22 divided by 126, 17.5. That's not true. That's not your effective tax rate is literally, at least the way I see it, and I'm right here for sure, is your tax divided by your total income. So even if you did this 22 divided by 126, that's a 17.5% effective tax rate, which Right Capital says that's your effective tax rate. That's not true. So some people say, no, it's your tax divided by your AGI, 147, 15%. No, that's not true either. It's your tax divided by all your other income, because that is what you're walking away home with. All that matters is your income minus your taxes. It doesn't matter what your AGI is. It doesn't matter what your freaking taxable income relative to your effective tax rate. Your effective tax rate is how much money am I bringing home relative to how much money I made. That's it. All the other stuff's just accounting stuff. Yeah, don't use that. Anyway, so in this case, the guy's a freaking 13% effective tax rate. Again, Right Capital has him at 17.5. He's right here. So should we do Roth conversions there? No, why? What's the point, dude? He's still, I mean, it doesn't make it. Now he's single. So we're going to have a widow's tax trap. It's really hard to I don't want to say justify, because you can do whatever you want, but it's really hard to make it work for single people to do Roth conversions. It's tough, man, especially if you're going to Obamacare. Again, we can make an argument that makes sense from a pure tax perspective. You will pay less tax in the future than you do now, but I mean, we're talking, I mean, again, here, this is the highest tax rates we're ever going to be in, effective tax rates. Well, you're in your 80s and 90s, I don't know, and you're 2% higher than you were here. It's just no big deal. Again, if your widow's tax trap comes to mind, or some other scenarios, maybe you're taking Social Security at 62, and maybe you got an FEHB, Federal Employee Health Benefits, or something like that, so you wouldn't need Obamacare. But like I said, it's getting harder and harder to justify Roth conversions. I'm just telling you, man. So, love your thoughts. We'll see you. Don't forget to subscribe to my Locals channel. I got to say this on the front end, like Brandon Tatum. Don't forget to subscribe to our email list, blah, 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 blah. But don't forget Locals channels in the Doobly Duke. We're going to go live today at about 3.5 hours here. Normally go live on Friday, but I got my man Craig Israel, so we're interviewing tomorrow on Friday at 4 p.m. And then don't forget to subscribe to my email list as well, the Doobly Duke. All right, see you.